Join the Classic Game Room community to get your questions answered on Thursday CGR Q&A. The following review has been approved by Lord Carnage and the best of Classic Game Room. Welcome to your Thursday Classic Game Room Q&A, where I'm going to answer some questions from the Classic Game Room forums at classicgameroom.com. But before I start, let me tell you about some of the new reviews coming up on the internet soon. Virtua Fighter 4 Evolution, just did the recording of that moments ago. Sensible Soccer for the Mega Drive, the Japanese version of Psyraid, as well as the Sega Mark III console review, Bomb Jack and Starjacker for the Sega SG-1000 and the Mark III, and this awesome joystick from Mad Catz. The Best of Classic Game Room DVDs, Blu-rays, and Laser Hypervision album sets have all been shipped for the Kickstarter backers by now, and they are available on Amazon and eBay for those of you interested. Thank you for the many kind comments you've sent me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook regarding the film. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And here's a sneak peek at the next one I'm working on right now, the Greatest Sega Genesis Reviews, Volume 1 by Classic Game Room. Enjoy. The greatest game system in the history of the universe. Let me show you why. In the beginning, there was nothing. Then, I created life using the power of blast processing, for I am the Sega Genesis. I've really worn down his defenses at this point. He's getting very, very agitated. And rightfully so, he's gonna lose. In the presence of Truxton, lest you be beaten with the Nomad, why is the Sega Genesis the greatest game system in the universe?
I don't know. Attitude, red sneakers, blast processing.
Blast processing! Derek lives! Because the Genesis has blast processing, I'm also working on the greatest 2600 reviews and NES. Now, let me get started in the forums here with a question I've also had on Twitter and Facebook from a few people. I'd like to buy the CGR DVD, but shipping is expensive. International shipping is expensive. I have no control over what they charge us for international shipping. Will there be a digital release? Yes. All of our films and future films are planned to go digital distribution as well as physical. So if you'd like to download it for your Kindle or whatever, that's coming soon. So I'll keep you posted on the digital distribution of the new films, upcoming films, and the existing ones, which I think may already be digital. I don't even know what's going on here half the time in space. Ziggy69 asks, the echo you have while doing reviews in space, is it real or do you add it during editing? It's real! It's a cavernous space station. Almost warehouse-sized, one might say, but it's a space station. Lord Mord asks, Dear Mark, do you think it's stupid to own every single console from every generation if the newer ones are backwards compatible? No, I don't think it's stupid at all. It's a matter of what you want to spend, really. I would suggest picking and choosing the ones that you want the most and then collecting for those. But also, if you just want to buy a PlayStation 3 or something, or a Wii, and just use the virtual console or download old games, they let you do that too. So there's a variety of different ways, but I don't think collecting the old ones is ridiculous. I mean, I've got pretty much all the old ones here, and I like to collect for the old ones. It's fun. I think it's fun to actually have the real game and play it on the old hardware with the real controllers and whatnot. But it's really up to you and what you want to spend. Smash Brothers Maestro asks, do you have plans to review a Model 2 NES top-loading? I don't actually have a Western one at the moment. I've reviewed the AV Famicom, which I think is pretty much the same thing, but it's one of those. I don't have it at the moment, so not right now. Maybe someday in the future. Who knows what the future holds, except definitely robots and destruction. Soul of Natsu asks, hey Mark, what's your opinion about the other muscle cars similar to the El Camino? Do you think they would be good racing rivals? We have the Ford Ranchero, GMC Calabrero, and of course the Subaru Brat. I think they're all super cool. All of them. They're all good rivals to the El Camino, but there's only one El Camino. All right, Bossum Burf asks two good questions. How long does it take you to review a game once you receive it? Depends on the game, the schedule, and what I'm working on at the time, but it could be years at this point. The backlog is massive. What system... Here's another great question. What system had the better games? PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2? They both had amazing games. But more importantly, this brings me back to a big important discussion on just the games and the game industry in general. More importantly, I think that era was really fun because you had big games that were like, retail games, big releases that were ambitious and tried new things. It wasn't just the next big sequel. It wasn't just the next giant multi-million-dollar project engineered to succeed. You saw games, a whole lot of games in different genres that came out, tried new things, and still looked and played like big games. And that's gone now. We're losing that. Now it's like your big AAA titles and then all the indie stuff and mobile stuff and freemium stuff. And like that middle ground is just disappearing. Thankfully, you can easily collect for the PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2. In fact, both game systems are really cheap and relatively easy to collect for depending on what game it is. Let's move on to some more questions. Kitsism asks a question a lot of people have asked. Visitors at CGR. Well, it's very difficult to get in space. Also, behind the cameras, it's like shipping and warehousing, and it's not the kind of fun place we can just have people running around, or aliens, or even cats for that matter. If there's cats that ever somehow get into space and run around the space warehouse here, they're immediately caught by one of our sentry droids and shot into space. So I'm sorry for the cats that we've lost. Okay, let's keep going here. Beam Tower asks, are you ever going back to Papa? More pinball reviews? Yes, there hopefully will be more pinball reviews someday. I've been so busy with all the donations and the new films and stuff, I haven't had much time to put into that. Although the TX sector is on the TX sector review, which is one of my favorites, is on the Best of Classic Game Room film. Let's see. Turtle Bits asks, Mark, have you considered renaming the show to Classy Game Room? It's always classy, regardless of what the title is. All right, Mark, what's the absolute worst movie you've ever seen? Asks Ben Drowned 33. I've seen a lot of bad movies, but I think the truly worst movies, like the most terrible movies, are the ones that punch you in the face when you're expecting a good movie. And of course, one comes to mind. You already know what I'm going to say. The one with Jar Jar Binks. Episode 1's probably the most disappointing movie I've ever seen in my life. But I've seen some real crap, like, what's that movie, Next? That one I recently reviewed with the Xbox 360 HD DVD drive. Terrible Nicolas Cage movie. But that was like so bad it was good. Some of the worst writing. It's just insanely bad. I don't know how those movies get funded. Let's see here. Which Mega Drive game had the best soundtrack? Asked by Pascal. Musha. Hands down. There's a lot of great Mega Drive and Genesis games with good soundtrack, but that's the best, I think. All right, Karini79 asks a question. Mark. Also asks about the digital download on the DVDs. Yes, we are working on digital downloads. All right, Cool Shooter Spaceship asks, and he has a Truxton avatar. Very nice. What's your favorite spaceship shooter on the NES or Master System? There's a lot of great ones on both game systems. Offhand, I'm not entirely sure. I remember Xanac was a good one on the NES, but 1942 is excellent. There's a lot of good ones. What's your favorite spaceship from any game or game system? Truxton. Also, I love the ships in the Thunder Force series. Do you have any concerns about being shot by shooting spaceships out there in the Intergalactic Space Arcade? No, we have laser sentries everywhere. And we have follow-ups here. Name your kid Jar Jar Binks. Do not name your kid Jar Jar Binks. Or Winsquid Jr. That would be a great name. Winsquid Jr. In fact, here I have Winsquid. Sent to the show by Mohammed in Qatar. Which I have out because Blue Flag 97 asks, whatever happened to the Prince Rigel that Mohammed sent? And it's right here. Hanging out with the Winsquid. There's lots and lots of cool stuff behind the set that you don't see every day. Let's see what other questions we have. Do you like They Might Be Giants? Asks XJ9 Supreme Overlord. Well, I'll tell you, I don't dislike They Might Be Giants. It's not one of my favorite groups. Like, I don't go out of my way to listen to them, but at the same time, if They Might Be Giants comes on the radio or Pandora or whatever, I don't turn it off either. So, I like them. I have a lot of respect for that group, for those guys. Let's see. A quick question for Mark. Where's the Donkey Kong Country love? I have like all those games around here. I just haven't. Of course, I can't play them on the internet anymore. So I guess you'll have to wait for one of the upcoming Classic Game Room films. But I do have a lot of those games, and they are good. Let's see. Why does Derek trash the 80s and I don't do anything? That's not true. He gets forced to play LJN games. and frequently gets beaten with the Gamecom. Mark, what are your thoughts? And that was from Nintendo Genesis 2600. What are your thoughts on underground comics like Harvey Picar's American Splendor, Matt Groening's Life in Hell, and that's asked by Licensed Games? While I appreciate both of those books, I have a lot of respect for those artists and writers, especially Matt Groening. Futurama's like the best show ever. They're not like my favorite comic books. I typically gravitate more towards science fiction and space stuff and manga, but that's just personal preference. Let's see, Star Wars is coming to Disney Infinity. Yes, well, that's like you didn't see that one coming a mile away. That's from Sony fan 0712. Like Star Wars is going to be on everything. It's going to be like Spaceballs, the flamethrower, and toilet paper. I want a Star Wars, the flamethrower, and toilet paper for that matter. Let's see, Chris117 asks about Derek and the Gamecom. How much time out of Mark's day does he take to beat Derek with the Gamecom? Like 10 minutes. Maybe give or take a few. Sometimes he takes a few. Sometimes if he's tired, he takes less hits before he goes down. Chris117 also asks, Far Cry on the Vectrex. How awesome would it be if Far Cry was put on the Vectrex, 3DO and PS1? Well, it would be amazing on the Vectrex, I'll tell you that. Like the 3DO and PS1, they would try to make one of those early 90s choppy first-person shooters, but if like Far Cry went to the Vectrex, I think that would be a good home for it, especially when using a flamethrower on wild animals. And they would go running away, except in vector graphics, on fire, screaming. Far Cry is such a fun series. Which actually kind of leads me to this next question. Wild Bill asks, what game do you feel is the most overrated game of all time? That's a tough one to answer because my immediate response would just get me in trouble. I'm not allowed to criticize one game in particular. Ocarina. But I would have to say it's not so much a game as it is a series anymore. Like what series? Like really? Do we need 1,000 Assassin's Creed games? Like the second one was really good, like the one with pirates, and then from there it's like it's the same thing over and over again. A big problem with that in the industry in general right now. Like one game gets big, you're going to see a whole bunch of them, and then are you really getting anything more, or just like the same thing with a different background, whatever. So now that I've just created an interstellar incident and annoyed the cosmic death bricks, it's a Lord Carnage reference, and contradicted myself because Far Cry 4 is like the same thing as Far Cry 3, but I love the Far Cry games. So what's the most overrated series or game in history? Well, definitely Video Whizball on the Fairchild Channel F. What are they up to now? Never mind. Other questions. Warframe review asks Sony fan 0712. Warframe looks super cool. I just haven't had time to play it. Contra question from Ants. He's asking about Contra Hardcore. We have like all the Contra games around here. Contra 3. There's a Contra and Game Boy Advance game which is in my to-do pile. Contra Hardcore is somewhere around here. Just don't have it in the schedule yet. Where's the love for Atari Lynx? Well, there's more Atari Lynx games coming soon. Just did Pit Fighter not too long ago. But here we have Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure on the Lynx, because that's going to be good. And I saw Derek playing the Road Blasters for Lynx. That looked awesome. Then I beat him with the Lynx. What? What else do we have here? Soulforge has a question that just says beer. There's not even a question mark. Is it a question or just a statement? Why can't we have regular awesome beer reviews? Because I'd be 500 pounds and drunk all the time. That's why. Be fun, though. Let's see, does playing the Wii entail selling one's soul? Did I say that? What does playing the Wii U equate to? That game that TJ was playing with the squids and the paintball looked pretty neat. But otherwise, am I even allowed to mention the Wii U anymore on the internet? Or do I just get shut down? The Best of Classic Game Room is now on DVD, Blu-ray, and Hyper Laser Vision album set. Did I mention I have blast processing?